cold as a razor blade.
For another episode of The Snake Pit, and of course, I could never do it without the man himself, WWE Hall of Famer, AEW superstar, Jake the Snake Roberts. What's going on, man?
Just enjoying the day, man. It's a bright, sunny day outside, and fall is here.
Fall is here. It's been really beautiful. It's crazy that we're already into November. It feels like this year has just flown by. I don't know, man. The older I get, the faster every year goes.
Yep.
It's a bummer, but I will take this time of year if we could lock this down, this nice kind of cool, crisp weather, and getting to talk to you here on the show, Jake. Boy, we've covered some really interesting topics, and today is no exception. We are talking about Florida again, and dude, I can't wait to hear your perspective. Before we talk about it, how's everything going with AEW and your new group there? They're a fun little group, and it seems like you're a good mentor for them.
That's a pretty good fit.
I'm thinking so too. Excited to see what you guys do moving forward. Jake, are we going to see you at AEW Full Gear by any chance?
I have no idea.
Oh, time will tell, folks. Stay tuned. Make sure that you tune into Full Gear because that card is loaded already, and I don't think they're done adding matches to it.
No, I don't think so either.
Well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into these notes. You know, Jake, last time we left off talking about Florida, we had stopped at a pretty critical point. It was right when you broke Barry Windham's nose, which set you up to be one of the enemies to the top guys in Florida. Man, what an incredible angle that was. I watched it back again after you and I stopped recording, and it's just like such a cool moment in your career. Jake, can you speak to like how special that moment was for you and in your career overall?
Oh, it was the first big thing I'd ever done. I mean, I'd done stuff, in other places, but this was big, especially with them, going through that wall. And this is Florida Championship Wrestling, man. I'm on the big stage now.
I mean, it's your first time. We can't overemphasize this. This is your first time as a heel, at least in the United States. So, like, what a way to make that moment happen. Like, not only are you going to attack the top babyface, not only are you going to break his nose, you're going to put him through a fucking wall. It's such a cool moment.
Yeah, fun day for me.
Yeah, dude, it was good stuff. And, it makes me wonder, with this being your first time as a heel, Jake, I know that wrestlers borrow from one another all the time and take pieces and parts from characters that they met in different territories. Would you say that you used anyone's heel work as inspiration to get yourself ready for this role?
A little Terry Funk.
I
used a little bit of Terry Funk.
He's a great one.
Yeah.
I know, as a kid, obviously, you had been watching a lot of wrestling because of your father's job. And you had said before that it was, who was the guy from Oklahoma that you were a big fan of as a kid?
Well, the Assassins were great.
Okay.
Danny Hodge.
Danny Hodge is who I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Now, did you have like a favorite heel as a kid, or did you hate all the heels because it was kind of a shoot?
I hate the heels. They were no good bastards.
That era of wrestling is so cool. Ted DiBiase talks a lot about his father having a 3-hour match, and he was like, if you do that kind of thing right, it'll get over. And I think to myself, it probably got over really well because everybody thought it was a real fight that was lasting 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
Did working as a heel change a lot about how you approached a match or your ring style or anything like that?
Sure it did.
In what manner?
Well, I was more vicious with stuff. I would attack more. As a baby face, you don't really get vicious. You might lean on somebody a little bit, but as a heel, you gotta turn it on. When you flip that switch, you got to go after them. Beat them down, whatever you're going to do.
Now, like structurally, matches, generally speaking, are structured. The babyface shines, the heel cuts him off and gets heat. There's a comeback. You go to the finish. Right. Now you've gotten used to this babyface formula, and now you got to flip things around. Would you say that it was like a learning curve for you?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't hard at all. Barry made it easy.
So this new rule just fit you like a glove right out of the gate.
Yeah, yeah. I just stuck to the formula, man. Give the baby face 3 spots where he shines, then use the referee or something to take control. And once you take control, you let them come out of it a couple of times, cut them off, turn up the heat a little bit. Finally, you go for something and you miss it. Now the baby face starts that comeback. Give him his comeback and go home, man.
It's a simple formula on the surface, but really like the being able to do that and do it right and have the pacing of it happen correctly, man, it's an art form.
It is definitely an art form.
Well, 4 days after your initial encounter, you and Barry are gonna wrestle again, and this time it's at the Eddie Graham Complex in Orlando, and rather than a draw, a countout, or a disqualification or something like that to let the babyface kinda get away with it, nope, you're gonna win the match straight up. So, man, a new arrival as a heel, and you're getting a clean win over a well-established babyface.
Yeah.
Clearly, the office sees a lot in you right away. Is that the impression that you got from guys like Dusty? Like, "Hey, we're gonna push you."
Well, I was never told they were going to.
They didn't make any promises back in those days, did they?
No, they sure didn't.
Um, I have to imagine that you're getting plenty of heat from the audiences, especially with a clean victory over a top baby face. Now, you're not with Kevin Sullivan yet, so the heat's really gonna get ratcheted up in like a month. But at this stage, Jake, what would you how would you describe working in front of these crowds as opposed to other territories?
Oh, they're really big wrestling fans. They enjoy wrestling, especially in Orlando. That was such a great building for wrestling. Oh my God, it was awesome, man.
What made Orlando stand out, do you think?
It it just had everything you needed, man. The way it was set up, um, the way the ring was, everything. It was just beautiful.
Well, the return match is going to take place in West Palm Beach, Florida, and Barry's going to get the better of this one. One thing I notice here throughout the research is that yourself and Barry are going to continually trade wins. So you'll win, Barry wins, and it's just this back and forth kind of a ping pong between the two of you. And I've
Mhm.
heard that referred to as 50-50 booking. Jake, are you familiar with that terminology?
No, I haven't, but I'll take it.
Yeah, it's I've heard a couple different opinions when it comes to 50-50 booking. Now, on one hand, it's this back and forth. It's, oh man, it's these guys are very evenly matched. They're trading wins. Who's going to get the better of this rivalry? On the other hand, I've heard a lot of guys say nobody wins with 50-50 booking because you want to continually beat one guy so that when the comeback happens, it means more. What do you think?
Uh, I would lean towards the second one.
Yeah.
Um, I like heat.
Hmm.
I love heat, and I think it would have been a better deal if I was taking those wins every night.
I think it makes a lot more sense, right? Where it's like, okay, this new heel is here, and he just keeps getting the better of Barry over and over and over again. And then finally, when Barry gets you, it's like, finally, it's like everybody feels good by the end of it.
Yeah, I mean we got the hockey mask on already, so it's so easy to cheat with that.
Hmm.
Or raise it up and plunk him in the face, man. He sells the shit out of it.
That's right. I forgot he was wearing like that brace on his nose, right?
Yeah,
Dude, what a great way to get that thing over. There is a great picture of you. I'll share it here in post production. There's a great picture of you, and you've got Barry Windham hung out over the ropes, and it looks like you're slamming his back down onto maybe like the apron or something like that. And he's got that thing on his nose, and it's like, man, Jake looks like a killer in this picture. No wonder the crowds are starting to hate you.
yeah,
Well, as we know in wrestling, every good feud inevitably brings others into it for storytelling and creativity, and to kind of, and make sure that you guys don't burn out the rivalry too quick. A week into the territory, you weren't joining forces with Kevin Sullivan just yet, but instead you're teamed up with a fellow by the name of Jim Garvin. And I believe that you were living in his mother's house.
yeah,
Yeah, at the time.
yeah.
Boy, Jim, quite a character. What can you tell us about him and his work?
He was great, man. He went on to become one of the Freebirds.
Yes.
So he had a lot of talent, man. Sure did.
And his pairing with Precious, pretty iconic
Yeah,
stuff in wrestling, which was fun. Was he with her at this point?
was his wife.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he was.
Yeah.
How about that? Any good stories about Jimmy Jam?
Oh man, we used to do some horrible things to each other. I know one night he rode back with us from, I think it was from Tallahassee. No, not Tallahassee, Jacksonville. And we got him in the car and put him in the front seat. And we got him telling stories and drinking beer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's got this one story he likes to tell about. He used to do a lot of diving, you know, underwater diving. And he got into a sinkhole one time and got lost.
Mm.
And he was running out of air.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. And he just barely made it out. But by the time he making it out, he was already starting to see shit, you know. His oxygen was gone. You know, he was still breathing, but he's not getting anything.
Yeah.
So he talks about like a veil of darkness starts to come over you. And it just takes your sight away from you.
Yeah.
Completely black. Well, when he did that, we were ready. We took a dozen eggs and plastered his head with them. Shook up a beer and sprayed his head with beer. And then we took a 5-pound bag of flour and hit him with it. All inside a brand new Lincoln.
I was gonna say, whose car is this? What a rib!
Rental car.
Oh, okay.
But hit him with all that shit. So after the laughing was over, he was complaining because he had long curly hair, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that stuff was so heavy it was pulling his hair. So we got to do something. We got to find some water or something to let me get some of this out. So we stopped at a truck stop. And there were a bunch of truckers around, man. And we get out of the car. We got flour all over us. Jimmy gets out, and his head is huge now because of all the dough that's rising. He's got a big dough head. So he starts washing his head out. And we drove off and left him.
Did you circle back for him, or was he on his own?
No, we left him. He got home about 2 hours late.
Okay, guys, we're hitting the pause button real quick so I can talk to you about our sponsor, True Classic. Guys, I love True Classic. Man, these clothes are so comfortable. They fit me so well, and I get so many compliments. They've got a lifelong customer in me, and I know that you're going to feel the same way if you give this product a try. You guys remember those days of going through puberty, right? And trying to find clothes that fit you properly. Not too tight in some places, not too loose in other places. Well, I'm coming to find that as I get older, that struggle kind of returns in many ways, especially if you're rocking a bit of a dad bod. Well, True Classic has eliminated the struggle because they've got clothing that fits right. Not too big, not too tight, and clothes that are versatile enough for everything on your agenda this fall. Seriously, if you guys are going to try to find clothes that fit you like this, you're going to end up having to get them personally tailored, and that is unbelievably expensive. Why don't you get the tailored look from True Classic and not spend a whole boatload of money to get there? We are talking about t-shirts, hoodies, jeans, and more in 3, 6, and 9 packs. And hey, fall is here. It's starting to get a little bit brisk outside. They got you covered. How about long sleeve Henleys, waffle hoodies, jeans, button-ups, joggers, and more? And these are all premium products at an affordable price. True Classic knows what you want in clothing. We all want the clothes that are snug around the arms and the chest, really kind of emphasize the way that those look, but give you a lot of space around the middle so you don't feel like everything you're wearing is skin tight. Okay, I got to stand up real quick and show you guys the shirt that I'm wearing. This is for my active wear. I'm actually getting ready to go do a workout right now at the gym. It's moisture wicking, it's quick dry, and it's odor controlled. And look at how great it fits me. Emphasizes my arms and my chest, covers up the middle, and makes me look and feel amazing. Whatever your lifestyle is, you can mix and match your clothing to fit right in. And if by chance you don't like what you've gotten, there's a 100% perfect fit guarantee and easy returns. I have a feeling that you are going to like it though, because this product is trusted by over 4 million customers and has, get this, over 200,000 reviews. It's time, guys. Let's do this thing. The holidays are here, and True Classics ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essentials make for the perfect gift for you and the men in your life. So, if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now and unlock big savings during their huge holiday sale. Just go to my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/snake to save. That's trueclassic.com/snake, SNAKE. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you when you use that exclusive link. End the year with holiday cheer thanks to True Classic. Oh my gosh, what did he do to piss you guys off?
He just did. What he'd done to us.
What an amazing rib. Didn't he get back at you at one point in like a tag team match or something?
Oh yeah, that was earlier in our career.
Okay, remind us what happened there.
Well, that was with Offie, Wild Samoan.
Okay.
I gave him a knee lift and broke his nose.
Oh.
And Jimmy Garvin shouted, "My God, you said you were going to do that."
Motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Offie just reached up, grabbed me by the hair, and headbutted me and knocked me out.
Now, you said that was before this. So this is your rebuttal then. It's got to be why you did it, right?
It's one of the many things that we did to each other.
Okay, so this was kind of a back and forth thing.
Oh, yeah, it was ongoing. Yeah.
Do you wake up in the locker room when you catch a headbutt from a Wild Samoan?
It's bad, man. I had a big old goose egg on my head for about a week.
Good Lord. Brutal.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
Well, yourself and Jimmy, you're going to team up against Barry and a performer named Sweet Brown Sugar, who's also known apparently as Skip Young. I've never heard of Sweet Brown Sugar. Jake, can you tell us about him?
Oh, he was a phenomenal wrestler, man. He was great. High flying, did all that stuff. He was quite acrobatic, man.
You go on to challenge him for the highly coveted Bahamian title. I don't know. I didn't even know if that was a thing. It's just for the Bahamas?
Yeah.
Interesting. What a shame you didn't get to add that to the resume, right?
Oh my God. No, I didn't want it. I almost got killed over there.
Is that now this story sounds familiar. Is that where you had to wrap yourself in something to protect yourself?
Yeah.
In a mattress?
Yeah, in wrestling mats.
No shit.
I covered myself in wrestling mats because they were throwing bricks.
That's right. People like followed you into the locker room, right?
Yeah, they were inside the locker room.
Jake, what the hell did you do to piss people off down there so bad?
I was white.
That's about all it took, right?
That's all it took, man.
Being white, being a heel. Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
I always hear about these incidents, like what you just experienced, and so many others. Whether it's in Puerto Rico or elsewhere. Like, has anybody ever like gotten seriously hurt by the fans coming after them like that? Have you?
Well, guys get cut all the time.
Yeah.
You know, cut with a knife, or they'll get hit in the head with a brick or whatever. That's pretty serious.
Now that you're talking about it, I know that somebody stabbed Ole Anderson at one point.
Yeah. I got cut by an old woman.
That's right. You punched her lights out, right?
Kicked her.
I'd say you let her off easy.
Yeah, I did.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that when Ole Anderson got stabbed, a lot of the boys in the locker room were like, fuck, I wish I could have done it.
Probably.
Well, Jake, you thought your days of tag team wrestling were over when you left the Crockett's, but it's not the case here. Next up, you're going to be teaming up with another performer. This time, it's a guy by the name of King Kong Tonga. Jake, can you tell our listeners who King Kong Tonga was?
Haku.
That's right. That's right. Man, it's a young Haku here. Is this your first time around him?
Yes.
What did you make of him, and did he show signs of being the badass he would come to be known as?
Oh yeah, he was already there. He was already there, man.
Presumably this is your first time ever being around him, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he was an animal.
Like just his ring work, or were you hanging out with him outside of the ring and seeing the
No,
kind of stuff he got to?
I wasn't hanging out with him. I was too scared to.
You know, we always hear what a scary human being he could be when he wanted to be, but I also hear that if he likes you or respects you, he's a complete sweetheart of a guy. Would you say that you were friends with him right out of the gate?
Absolutely.
Definitely want to make friends with that guy.
Oh yeah.
In the same month, you're also going to team up with Kendo Nagasaki and King Tonga to take on Barry Windham and Kevin Sullivan and Mike Graham. Were you with the white version of Kendo Nagasaki or the Asian version?
The Asian.
Okay. Did you know that there was a white version of him?
No, I didn't.
It was like some Englishman who like wore a mask and dressed up like him. And I don't know. It was when I read this, I knew that there were two versions. And I looked it up. I'm like, that is just very weird. But apparently there were two versions. This is going to be your first time stepping into the ring with Kevin Sullivan, and he had just returned to Florida earlier in 1982 as a quiet, kind of unassuming babyface character, and he's still playing that character at this time. Do you recall if he had started to help with booking at this point or yet? Not or not yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had Dusty's ear.
Now Sullivan is listed at this time as being 5'9", but that's bullshit. He's probably a little bit closer to 5'6". But to his credit, he's built like a brick shit house. He's a former bodybuilder, looks great. When you first crossed paths with Kevin Sullivan, what did you make of this stocky little guy from Boston?
I thought he was a little fire plug,
Yeah,
you know. His ring work was fine, but he didn't seem anything special. You know, he was kind of bland.
you mean as like a baby face?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you know early on, and I know I'm asking you to reach back all these years, but do you recall if you knew early on that you were going to be paired with Kevin, or is it one of those things where you get to TV and they just tell you?
When they got to TV, they told me.
It makes sense to me for promoters to do that just because you don't wanna tell somebody something and then something changes and then you disappoint them, but at the same time, it's like, man, it'd be really nice to know what the fuck you were doing a couple weeks in advance, right?
Yeah. I remember doing a promo with Gordon Soley and told him I was in Florida to help Nevik Novelis.
Nevik Novelis.
Yeah. That's the reason I was there. And as soon as Nevik got in there, the shit was going to go down.
You had started this to plant these seeds early on?
Yeah.
Now, I think that Kevin told this story, but I'll let you, smarten our listeners up. Who is Nevik Novelis?
Kevin Sullivan's backwards, fell backwards.
We're gonna talk more about this Kevin Sullivan turning into literal Satan on the next time we discuss it because it happens in October of '82. But like at the time, it's such an ingenious thing because if everybody remembers, the Satanic Panic was starting to take over America. You know, like the Night Stalker and the Exorcist had just happened. And then there was a rumor that if you played the Beatles' White Album backwards, you'd get a satanic message out of it. So like all these people were starting to get really freaked out. And then, here comes Jake Roberts and he's saying this weird shit. It's, man, starting to get people ramped up.
Yep.
We'll get more into that story, like I said, but let's talk about the other participants here. I mentioned Mike Graham there, and he is the son of the promoter of your new territory, Eddie Graham. Jake, when you're new to a company and you're stepping into the ring with the promoter's kid, sounds like it has the potential to be a little bit stressful. How did that go?
It was a solid match, I'll tell you that.
Solid as in a little snug?
A little snug.
Now, do you think that Mike is not a big guy? Do you think he worked that way to make up for it?
Yep.
When the boss's kid is getting a little snug with you, what's the response?
I got snug back.
It's kind of the only answer, right? Or else you just
Yeah,
get eaten up.
yeah, absolutely.
Never any fear of repercussions if you're kind of giving this kid the business out there?
I didn't really give a fuck.
Love that answer. Just say fuck him. And if he's going to do it to me, I'll do it to him.
Absolutely, man.
Um, I guess, being smaller, it's you've got to kind of work aggressively to let everybody know that you're not somebody to be fucked with. It's I don't know. Do you respect that sort of thing, or does it piss you off?
I respect it. He didn't need to do it with me because I respected him already. But I seen where he was coming from. I understood it, and I just went with it.
That's good, man. I feel like because you're a big guy, and I feel like most big guys, if some little guy was out there kind of being stiff with him, you'd be like, "I'll show this little motherfucker," and really light him up.
Yeah,
So the temptation would certainly be there.
it may have happened a couple times.
And then afterwards, you just say, "Oh, sorry, brother, got you with one out there."
Yeah, I remember getting him with a knee lift.
In the face?
No, but I slapped the shit out of his back. Really fucking laid it in.
Somebody told me recently, maybe it was the grappler, they said that taking a knee lift from you, the worst part of it was the slap on the back.
Absolutely.
I've heard mixed things about Mike over the years, and certainly we are not setting out to say anything negative about somebody who's passed away. But I'm curious, Jake, outside of the ring, what'd you think of him as a man?
I liked him, man. He was a nice guy.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I got along with Mike fine.
Interesting. I have heard some guys have some negative things to say, so I was like, Jake could go either way on this question. So that's good. You had a good experience around him.
Yeah, I had a good experience with Mike. There was never anything negative going on with us.
Well, next up, Jake, you get another new tag team partner coming up soon, but this is a pretty good one for you to get. You are going to end up next with Kamala here in Florida, which I had no idea was a thing until I read this research. Man, a big draw everywhere you went, whether it was Florida, WCCW, UWF, and finally, of course, WWF. Jake, what was it about James that made him such a successful draw literally everywhere he went?
Just the character, man. People loved it.
Like all the buildup surrounding him, and they kind of had people believing he was a cannibal, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So it's a strong gimmick. If you think a motherfucker's gonna eat you and he's that size, you'd probably hate him.
Deepest, darkest Africa, man.
Wait a minute, I thought that was Akeem, the African Dream.
Yeah, well, Kamala was the original.
Probably the better of the two.
Yeah.
I know you and Kamala would go on to become buddies. Were the two of you friends at this point, or just more like acquaintances?
Acquaintances.
Well, Jake, your next tag team partner is one I know that you loved. It was Dory Funk Jr., one of your absolute favorites. I always thought that you would start teaming with him in 1983, but here you are in Florida before you went back to the Crockett's, and you're stuck in the ring with him down here. All of this kind of back and forth now with tag team partners, it's making me wonder, Jake. Hot start in Florida, and now it's hokey pokey with partners. I mean, on one hand, you're getting to step in the ring with some big names. On the other hand, you're fucking tag teaming. Where's your head at this point?
It was getting kind of negative, man. Because they were beating my tag team partner every night.
Well, I guess that's kind of a good thing, right? If they're pinning your tag team partner, that means that you're not getting the pin. You stay strong.
Still, it's not good for you.
No, because how do you get yourself over when you're standing on the apron for half the match?
Right.
All right, next up, you're going to have another tag team partner. It's Big John Dud, as you like to call him, Big John Stud. And fortunately, though, the two of you guys are going to take on the biggest star in the territory, Dusty Rhodes. He's going to team up with Barry Windham here, and you guys are going to be in a bunkhouse rules match, which is one of Dusty's early creations.
Yeah.
And man, a couple questions about this encounter. First time you'd share the ring with Dusty Rhodes during this run. Is this the first time overall, or had you stepped into the ring with him before?
That was it.
Okay, so getting in there with the American Dream again, somebody who everybody respects and is a little bit intimidated by. Safe to assume that you kind of kept your mouth shut, let him call the action.
Absolutely.
He owns part of the territory too, so definitely a safer bet.
It helped.
I mean, he clearly saw something in you and your rivalry with Barry. Tully Blanchard would famously say that Dusty was good at booking Dusty, which implies that Dusty would often insert himself in a creative that was starting to catch fire. So sounds like he saw you and Barry starting to take off and was like, I better get involved in this.
Yep.
Does that piss you off, or is it like, hey, cool, I get to tag team against Dusty?
I was fine with it, man. It's going to be a main event match every night.
You guys were the main event, and you go over in this bunkhouse match. So it's the match that Dusty created. It's the main event, and you guys are getting the win against the American Dream in this territory. So kind of a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does it give you a different perspective on tag team wrestling when you're involved with somebody like Dusty and you go over, or are you still miserable during the experience?
So miserable.
I get it. And now that I'm getting into wrestling, I totally get it, because you feel like you got your thumb up your ass for half the match, and then it's like, wait, what just happened? Like, are we still getting heat? Am I feeding a comeback? Ugh.
Right.
All right. So heels going on over under these circumstances, pretty unique. Bunkhouse brawl again, a Dusty Rhodes staple. And he's coming to the aid of Barry Windham, who's a big star. It's safe to assume that the fans were starting to hate your guts.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. That's what you want. Now, do you like this booking heat philosophy where the good guys don't always get the win? Or like WWF was the polar opposite, where you kind of try to send them home happy every night?
Yeah, I didn't like that. But yeah, I like the heat, man.
A couple more questions and we're out of here. Would you agree that the willingness to book heat from Dusty, Sullivan, Graham, all these guys, is it something that was setting the Florida territory apart from other territories during this period of time?
Yeah, it was, man. Florida territory was very special. It was just a special place, and fans were very special. They were knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. So things that was done there often spread to other territories.
You said something at the start of this episode that really stuck out for me, and that was you said, we're in Florida now. This is the big time. And I think a lot of our listeners on the surface would hear that and say, like, no, like the big time is Georgia because you got that Georgia TV, or
Yeah.
WWF because you got that TV. Not the case.
Nope.
And is it just because of Eddie Graham and his kind of genius when it comes to wrestling?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, we're going to get to see more of that genius and some more of the booking down here in Florida on the next episode. Jake, there's a chance we're going to get a special guest or two coming in here to talk about Florida. So we're really going to tell the full damn story of your experience down there. Man, I can't wait to keep on exploring it.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope those guys want to pitch in.
I think we can make something happen, and I'll look forward to talking to you again soon, my friend.
All right, brother. Take care.
Okay, guys, we're wrapping up the show, but before we go, got to remind you that if you're looking to attract that 25 to 54-year-old male demographic to your product or service, you've got to hit advertisewithsnake.com. Jake is still out there doing it, man, hitting the towns, on TV, meeting fans, and when he talks, people listen. So why not get the legendary Jake the Snake Roberts to put over your product or service to that exact demographic? If you want some proof that it works, just listen to our show. We routinely advertise for the same businesses because they know that what we do here works. Head to advertisewithsnake.com. Make Jake the Snake Roberts your tag team partner. Cameo.com/Jake Snake is the place if you want a personal message from Jake Roberts, if you want a birthday wish, or if you want Jake, the greatest promo in the history of wrestling, to cut a promo just for you. It all happens over at Cameo.com, and here's a recent review from Anonymous. This was the best decision of my life. Perfection. Thanks, Jake. I mean, short and sweet, but not a whole lot more needs to be said. Go and look at the reviews over at cameo.com/Jake Snake and find out for yourself. All of the reviews are great. Jake puts a ton of effort into these. He knows what fans want, and he always delivers. Again, it's cameo.com/Jake Snake. Order yours today. Check Jake and I out on YouTube. It's youtube.com/@snakepitpod. We've got some short, bite-sized clips from the show and highlights. We've got some exclusive podcasts over there. So the only place to get all that is over at youtube.com/@snakepitpod. Does Jake and I a big favor. Get over there and get subscribed. Hit the notifications bell so you don't miss any awesome new videos that we're putting out, and enjoy all the wonderful content that Jake and I have up there. If you've enjoyed the Snake Pit, please do us a big favor. Like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review on all platforms. Does Jake and I a massive favor and only takes you a couple minutes. So seriously, if you can do it, please just take a couple seconds, help Jake and I out, give us that 5-star review, and let's keep chugging here on the Snake Pit. You guys can check Jake on X at Jake Snake DDT, on Instagram at Jake the Snake DDT, and on Facebook at Real Jake the Snake. You can follow me at Marcus P. D'Angelo on X, and that's also where you might want to drop your questions for future episodes of Ask Jake Anything. Again, it's Marcus P. D'Angelo on X. Go ahead and hit me up in my DMs, and I will try to answer all of your questions if they haven't already been asked here on the Snake Pit. Okay, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Snake Pit. We are just getting started on the story of Jake's time in Florida. We haven't even gotten to the parts with him and Kevin Sullivan, what they did with Dusty Rhodes. And like we mentioned, we might just be bringing on some special guests who were there and experienced this to talk about it. So stay tuned, and we will see you next week right here on the Snake Pit.